Hey everyone, it's Blair here at Time Trades. This is your subscriber video for Sunday, September 10th. Thanks for joining me this weekend. Today we're going to review our last forecast, which was cautiously bullish, and we're going to make any updates that we need to make. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to flip over to TradingView first, and we're going to take a look at where we left off with the video last week. This green box here was our successful target box that was drawn about 2 or 3 weeks ago, along with this arrow. So I'm just going to hide these. We're not using these anymore. And we're going to talk about the last target box that we drew on last week's video and how that's progressing. So it's too early to really rank or give myself a mark on this one. It starts September 11th and ends September 15th. Price is on its way to the target box, so that's good. We had about 3 days down here in the past week, and then a nice recovery back up on Friday. So we briefly lost the 1x1 up, which is very important in my work, but then we recovered to regain the 1x1 up, and we appear to be on track here. So the cautiously bullish forecast remains on track. There are a few hot dates, however, coming up, pun intended. So let's take a look at what those dates are and what Time Trades is telling us. So we're going to go over to the Time Trades machine learning, and we're going to take a look at the latest forecast. Now, one of the things that I spent a lot of time on this past week was some machine learning optimizations, and these are reflected in today's charts, okay? So one of the things that you'll see is I'm focusing quite a bit on the pivots. In the latest QQQ forecast, I'm not super thrilled with the variance in the moves. However, we do see some nice clusters here in the pivots peaking September 14th, which is right in our target box, and also October 17th, which is an important date I'll get into there or a little bit later on. So let's take a look at NDX though. NDX, SPX, they do have clearer forecasts. So NDX is showing a pivot September 14th, 15th, again, right in the heart of our target box here, which is the 11th to the 15th. And we also see moves steadily increasing there. So the way I would interpret this is just a continuation of the current trend until we reach the peak of the pivots here on the 14th and 15th. We also see another peak in pivots in October 16th to 20th. So this is another range of hot dates that we need to be aware of for a trend change. So looking for a trend change coming up late next week, and then another significant one in October. So let's take a look at SPX, see if that aligns. SPX, the dates are a little bit later. We're seeing September 20th as that initial peak pivot. And then a little bit later in October, October 30th is where we see a peak in pivots as well. So that's what we're seeing on SPX. Let's take a look at DJI. So DJI is showing some very clear signals here. This is one of the things I really like about the upgraded optimizations that have gone live is for most symbols, the signal to noise ratio has improved. QQQ, unfortunately, is one of the exceptions, but there's lots of other symbols that we can use. So September 19th, we're seeing a peak in pivots, and that aligns with moves. And then we see another minor peak in pivots in late October, and then a very big peak in pivots over here, December 12th, and a big cluster of moves up over there later in the year. So what I'm going to do based on this information is I want to go and update the forecast box here, and I'm going to extend it out a few days into the following week, 18th and 19th, in that area. And that's really just based on what we're seeing in the DJI and this big peak over here in pivots on September 19th, and also SPX. Also want to take a look at the US dollar and the DXY. DXY is showing a continuation here of the trend. There's not a lot in terms of pivots down here. It's really extended. It's been very strong lately. And we see a big cluster of moves here. Now, this doesn't mean that we can't just pivot from here. Certainly, if we go and look at trading view, we can get a good view here of DXY. So let's take a look at that. We can go over here, and no, we don't want gold. We want to take a look at the dollar index. And it's basically been going up for a solid 2 months straight ever since this Gann wave yellow, which is peak in northern lunar declination, right? So I thought that we were going to reverse up here at this Gann wave blue, which is peak southern declination, but we did not get that. So we may be up at the completion of this move here. I've been looking for a completion here of this move and at least some sort of significant correction. You can tell that the dollar index does like to make reversals on lunar declination peaks. So that seems to be the habit here. We just had one last week. So the timing is right for a reversal here. And if it does reverse, we can certainly expect to see that that further pump in stocks that we've been anticipating in the forecast. So that's kind of where we stand on the dollar index. Again, waiting to see some sort of significant reversal here. Honestly, given the strength in the dollar, stocks have been relatively strong. So that's been a source of, I think, my bullish bias on stocks is that in the face of all this dollar strength, they're still not really going down. There's no new downtrend here, and they're continuing to track this one by one up in the NQ. All right, so that's the dollar. We've updated our forecast to extend it out a little bit based on the range of pivot dates that we're seeing. One of the things that I want to share with you is these Mars cycle fans, and I like to attach one by ones to these Mars cycle fans. So we can zoom out a little bit, and we've got a Gann fan over here at Mars minimum distance. That's close to conjunction, but not exactly conjunction. I like to use minimum distance and maximum distance. And we can see this Gann fan here has really tracked the entire move up since then. If we go and take a look, it's real interesting how the Mars minimum distance down here on November 30th kind of bisects these two lows that were made. And then after we made the second low, the double bottom, its prices really tracked the one by one up very nicely. So here we are up here. Price is still tracking the one by one. We're closing in on Mars maximum distance. This is the second line here. So that's coming up on October 17th. And this is frankly one of the bearish tripwires that I am looking at is this one by one up. If price meaningfully gaps down, separates down below this 1 by 1 up from the last Mars cycle date, then I think we are in for a change in trend. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at as confirmation of a change in trend from this green cycle box up here. A couple other things that could potentially confirm a change in trend would be a rejection from this from the magic level up here at 15,758. And if we go and turn on regular GAN fans, which are here, then another potential rejection area could be this 2 by 1 down from the July high. All right, so these are the areas that I'm looking at for confirmation of a trend change within this green timing box here. Another thing to note on the regular GAN fans is we've got two 1 by 1s crossing between the 14th and 15th of September, right in the heart of our green box. So this is one of the reasons why we're cautiously bullish coming up into here. This is not the time to swing for the fences on the long side. Frankly, any strength that I see coming up here, especially driven by dollar weakness, I'm going to be taking profits and looking to position for a potential short that concludes near the end of Venus interval 1, because my expectation here is that we close out Venus interval 1 with a low near the end of it, and then that sets up a bullish move in Venus interval 2, because when you go back and take a look at past behavior in Venus interval 2, we tend to see big trends. So this is a big trend down, okay, in Venus interval 2, and that was in February, March, started February, March 2022. But Venus interval 2s also can include big trends up, like what happened in August, September, October 2020. And as we scroll back, we can see even more in 2019. So one of the expectations I have, and my bias, I guess, is that we do see a lower low coming into the second half of Venus interval 1, because the second half of these Venus intervals tend to be where the big moves are. And then we often will see changes in trend around the transition between intervals. So that's one of the expectations I have. It doesn't have to be right on the border between intervals. We see a lot of changes in trend near that border between intervals. This one was almost perfect here back in August. This one was another very strong change in trend right at a magic level back in March. But anyways, you all have access to the Venus intervals, and you can take a look at the past history and come to your own conclusions. But I just want to share my thinking on how I interpret the Venus intervals, so that can help guide you in developing your own trading plan. Okay, so that's our update really on stocks. We can go through and take a look at the rest of things here. So we looked at a number of different stock indexes as well as the dollar. Let's take a look at gold and see how that is shaping up. We've got some big clusters of moves coming up here in gold in the next couple of weeks, complemented by some pivots as well. So if we do indeed get that dollar weakness that we're anticipating here, I believe these moves would be up moves in gold to align with the dollar weakness that we're seeing. So and that is, again, we have that bullish bias based on interpreting the Venus intervals for gold. If you go and take a look at those, you'll see that Venus interval 1 has produced some very strong pumps in gold in the recent past. Okay, Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is showing a very clear cluster of moves up. Not much in terms of pivots, however, but this cluster of moves up here, 14th, 15th, 16th, again, this aligns with our target box on stocks. So I do think that we get one last push up. That will that will be driven by dollar weakness, that will push stocks, crypto, and gold up as well in this timing area that we've identified here. Okay, so that is Bitcoin. We can also take a look at the Nifty NSEI. Now the Nifty is looking a lot like the QQQ, and when it comes to moves, the move forecasts are not great in terms of signal to noise ratio, but the pivots are really good. And again, the pivots are telling the same story. We've got a cluster of pivots between September 12th and September 22nd, and this would indicate to me a continuation of the current trend, which is up into this timing window. So we're at the cusp of an opportunity for a very nice swing trade. And if we can catch this change in trend that's coming up in this timing window, then we'll be well positioned for the second half of September and October. So that's it for me. Thanks again for using time trades. I hope that you had a successful week trading. Always manage your risk, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you.